Hello everybody, my name is Tit Plevnik and my role in First Team is managing customer experience. My mission is to make use and living with your first boats as smooth and joyful as possible. My second knowledge-based vlog is addressing the pre-season checkup for Beneteau First 24. I will lead you through the key checkpoints and I hope that this video will make your preparation for the season easier and faster. I will give you some basic and simple repair solutions which you can arrange by yourself. Some more advanced maintenance tips and support we'll address in the future vlogs. At the end of the vlog you will find two documents: list of standard ropes for Beneteau First 24 and the summary of this video in the checkup list, which is meant to be printed and you can take it with you when you will be checking your boat. Last but not least, all mentioned points are valid for the Seascape 24 as well. On this point, I would like to ask you for your feedback on this particular vlog as well as on the topics you would like me to address in the future. I'm available on the email on the bottom of the screen. So, let's go through the checkpoints. Let's start with hull and deck equipment. We'll do the checkup of the First 24 from 2017, which has been all the time heavily used, including some charter and racing. First, let's check if all the deck equipment is still tight and sealed. Heavily loaded hardware could get slightly loose and the screws could start leaking with the years. This is usually not the checkpoint for the boats newer than 2 or 3 years, depends on how heavily they are used. The easiest way to find out if the screws are starting to leak is by the stains of rusty water under the screws on the inside of the boat. On this boat I found just one problematic place. Here we can see first sign that the screw is not tight anymore. The washer is showing first rust. I recommend you to remove the screw, clean the rust and old sealant with some acetone and reseal it completely. Deck equipment, which usually get loose first, is the railing. Check the front lifeline attachment point or the pulpit if you have the high railing, side tensions, and all the way in the stern, check also the push pit. Another point to check is the back clit. This one is having a lot of side forces from the ropes and it's mostly heavily loaded, so take a look if the screws are completely tight. If you see that complete piece of equipment is moving, you need to remove it, clean the old sealant and install it back. For resealing, we recommend using Sika 291. If just one screw is slightly loose, then you can try to reseal just this particular screw, but this is quick fix which will not last for more than a season or so. In any case, you need to tighten the loose screws. Leaving them loose would damage the laminate of the boat. Hold the screw on place from the outside and always tighten the nut on the inside of the boat. If you will be turning the screw, this will damage the sealing. No matter if you just freshly reseal it or you want the old sealing to remain working for another season or so. Next, let's move on to the deck. There are a few points we need to check. One very important point of the yearly maintenance is servicing the winches. But this is something I will address separately as we also have them on the other models. First, quite exposed piece of equipment is the fairlead of the Jeep furling line. Check that it's not worn out and it needs to be replaced. You've probably noticed that the spin lock clutches are harder to open and close since the delivery. But there's something you can do about it very easily. First, wash them with fresh water while opening and closing them a few times and leave them to dry. For easier handling, you need to apply some silicone lubricant on the inside bearing as well as on the outside X. Check also all the block shackles. They tend to get loose, especially if you've been traveling with your boat around a lot. And you don't want them to open while you are sailing on the water because you will very likely lose the shackle. This is much easier done when the mast is not stepped yet. On the First 24, there is just one piece of tick on the entrance plexi. Sand it with a sandpaper of granulation of around 120 and be careful you don't damage the plexi while doing it. Protect it with some masking tape. After you sand off the first damaged layer and you smoothen any sharp points, protect the tick with standard tick oil available on your market. Next checkpoint are the lifelines. Check if the safety nuts of the turnbuckle are very tight. This will prevent the turnbuckle to open later on when you will be on the water, because you really don't want to lose some crew members overboard. If you're having a high railing option, don't forget on the safety nuts on the stern shackles as well. I suggest you to have the safety pins on the outside and properly tape them with electric tape. Both together can save you sailing jacket or lycra. A simple trick when taping the pins. Don't torn the tape when you are doing the final round, but nicely cut it with a knife. Overstretched tape will very soon peel off on the sign, while nicely cut tape will last for the whole season. Wash all your orbit blocks with ball bearings with fresh water and dry them. Lubricate the ball bearings from both sides. Well-known lubricant for the blocks is 1 drop for Harken, but follow what the name of the product is suggesting. 1 or 2 drops per side will be enough. Rotate the blocks afterwards. One of the last checkpoints on the deck is the sealing of the back storage lockers. Check that it's still completely glued. If you'll need to replace it, exact dimensions are written on the bottom of the screen. Be careful how you will do the corners. Don't cut the gasket completely, but stick it continuously and just cut the inner edge. When gluing on the new gasket, be careful you don't stretch it. It needs to be installed without any tension. Any bigger service of first 24 keel you will need to arrange with your dealer or professional service point, because the keel is too heavy and needs some proper and safe lifting equipment. However, there are 2 points which you can check by yourself and they may need some regular maintenance. On the outside you can check the slot strip. Check that the slot strip is still completely glued in the whole area. Especially take care on the corners. If the corner starts to peel off, re-glue it with Sika 292 and lightly press it down with the transport strap around the hull. Be careful, the stern end of the slot strip is designed to be opened and not glued, so that the keel can easily exit the keel box and doesn't damage it. If your slot strip is broken or damaged, you will need to replace it completely. If you're not planning any racing, slightly broken slot strip can still wait for a while and you can replace it by the end of the season. But if you have any racing ambitions, damaged slot strip will significantly slow you down. For replacement of the slot strip, you will again need to contact your dealer or professional service point. Second checkpoint of the keel system is the keel winch and the rope. To access the winch, you will need to remove the cover, which is secured with 4 screws from the side. Since the delivery of your boat, you've probably noticed that the dropping and lowering of the keel is getting harder and harder. Key maintenance point of the keel winch is lubricating the sprocket. Use marine grease, which can be also used for the winch service, but don't apply some Teflon lubricants because they will not do the job. At this point, also check the keel rope. The one in the video is used for 3 full seasons and it's not showing any wear and tear yet, but it's still worth taking a look. Because of the very high forces on the keel system, the keel rope needs to replace as soon as any damage is noted on the rope. But this is again a job for your dealer or professional service point, because you will need the crane to do it. After using the keel winch system for a while, the Dyneema rope and the loop on the head of the keel got stretched a bit. And that's why the marks on the rope are maybe not exactly precise anymore. Leave the keel completely and mark the new completely up position with a permanent marker. Later, when you will be in the water, do the same for the keel down position, which will be even more useful because exactly aligned holes of the keel and the keel box will make the insert of the safety pin easier. At this point, also check that you have some spare safety pins on board. Another crucial component of every sailing boat is the steering system, so let's go through the key checkpoints. First, check that the boat rudder hinges are completely tight and without any movements. That's easiest done from the inside. Look if there are any stains of rusty water on the inside of the storage locker under the cockpit. If you find out that any of the hinges, especially the bottom ones which are very close to the waterline, not tight anymore, completely remove it, clean the old sealant and reseal it. Again, use CCAT 291. When you'll be tightening the top hinge, be very careful, because the screws are fixed into the aluminum plate which is laminated into the hull. Check that the split pins are on place on the rudder box X and also that it's completely folded back. Otherwise, it's very likely that the Gennaker sheet or some other ropes will catch for it. Next point of the steering system is the Velcro in the rudder boxes. As long as it's just slightly degraded by the sun, that's all fine. But check if the corners did not start to peel off. In this case, replace the Velcro on land because it will be much easier than later when the boat will be in the water. If you need to replace the Velcro, you're looking for the soft side of the Velcro and the width should be at least 35 millimeters. For one rudder box, you need about 1,20 meters of Velcro strap. Check also the steering system move limitators. The NEMA ropes, one on each side, are very important because they prevent the system to get into an inverted position which would break some of the components. Check that all 4 safety nuts of ball joint connectors are tight. On this point, also make sure you have at least few spare joint connectors on board. Check also the rubber joint on the tiller extension. If there are any signs of cracks, replace the part before the season because it will definitely break very soon. Check also the tiller extension is running smoothly and the locking mechanism is working. There's not much yearly maintenance needed on the mast, but still there are a few points. Let's check them out. Top of the mast is heavily shaken, especially in stronger winds, so you can check that all of the screws are tight. Take a special look on the Windex base, which is also likely to loose. Next, check the Gennaker halyard thimble. The lashing shouldn't be too stretched and worn out. This one is, after 3 seasons, is still perfectly fine. Check the shroud attachment points. It's normal they can rotate, so you can easily attach the shrouds, but of course they still need to be quite tight. Check that the sealant on the end of the screw is not broken. This indicates it's all fine and nothing changed on the shroud attachment. A few masts, the pre-feeder of the mainsail got loose, so you can try and tighten the screws. But be extremely careful because you are screwing them into the carbon. You need to take a special look on the mast foot. Open both of the screws on the side and remove the mast foot. After removing the mast foot, wash it as well as the mast tube. Here we are looking at the mast foot, which was not removed from the mast for 3 years and the boat was extensively used in the salt water. If your mast foot is just slightly corroded like this one, clean it, dry it and impregnate the corroded area with Duralac. Duralac will stop the corrosion, but keep in mind that this piece will need to be replaced in some of the future seasons. After stepping the mast and leading the mast headlight cable into the cabin, protect the connectors with some contact spray. Before installing the shrouds on the mast, make sure that you check all the wires. What you're looking for is a bent and permanently deformed wire. Many of you are traveling around with your boats and rigging them many times during the season, and it could happen. The most common place where it usually happens, it's very close to the press terminals on both ends. After rigging the mast, it's really important to tape the 3 points: all shroud attachments, pins of the spreaders, and spreader ends. After installing the tape very tightly, never torn it when you're doing the last run, but always cut it with a knife. Overstretched tape will not glue properly, but if you cut it, it will last for the whole season. In connection with the bowsprit, there are 2 key checkpoints. Check that the lashing fixing the thimble of the Gennaker tack line, it's not stretched too much and still in good shape. This one is still fine. what you're looking for is if the thimble could slide out of the lashing. If you need to replace it, you will need about 2 meters of 1.5 millimeter Dyneema rope. What is important is the length of the lashing. The thimble should get over the edge of the bowsprit cap, otherwise it will get bent or it will damage the bowsprit cap. What's missing on this bowsprit is the O-ring just behind the cap of the bowsprit. The O-ring increases the sealing of the bowsprit when retracted, as well as making the closing much smoother. Thank you for your attention, and I hope that this vlog was practical and informative. Like I said in the beginning, please, I would like to hear your feedback. You can reach me on the email on the bottom of the screen. Below the video, you will find the direct link on Beneteau First Forum. Please share your ideas and experiences connected to the maintenance with Beneteau First 24. I wish you all the best and fair winds until my next vlog, where I will address the maintenance tips for Beneteau First 27.